So I'm thinking about, this is my first try at controlling clutch size, because I discovered from Scruffy and Laurel and Gray and Cloudy that 5 babies is a disaster. And when I started asking around, the pros said, yeah, no more than 3. So that's what we're going to do. So I've been thinking about it, and it's kind of occurring to me that, I mean, if I had only one pair, then it'd be pretty straightforward. I pick the 3 most developed embryos and pull the rest of the eggs and stick them in the freezer. But I have 3 pairs here, and they all bring a little something different to the table. So, Razzle and Lilith, no, this is Razzle and Remington, both young birds. They've never been bred before, but they're both, they've got 100% fertility going. There's nothing wrong with either of them. They've got plenty of time to give me tons and tons of babies. They have 4 visibly fertile eggs in there. I suspect there will be 5. So clearly we're going to have to reduce something here. This is Fluffy and Sprite, on the other hand, are older. They've failed quite a few times, more because of external circumstances than because there's anything flawed with them. But at this point, they are 2 to 3 years old, maybe 2.5. I think Sprite's 2.5 years old, and Fluffy may be coming up on 3 years. So we haven't got an endless amount of time to get babies out of these 2. So they have 5 eggs in there. They may not stop there, but I suspect they will. And 3 of them clearly have developing embryos in them. I think there will be a 4th one. I think there's 2 that are just clear with a, yolk, but one of them was laid like yesterday or today, so I'm sure one will develop. I'm pretty sure the other one is like a first egg and infertile. So we're probably going to end up with 4 viable embryos in here. And then we have Luscious and Limey. Now, Limey is young and strong and very virile. Luscious is not. She is over 3 years old, maybe 4. A lot of her embryos are fizzling, so she has 6 eggs, but 3 of them are not viable because of cracked eggs or fizzling embryos or some such a thing. I believe she has 1 egg in there that's clear, although I suspected when I looked at it that it does have some development in it, so I'm pretty sure if the embryos that I saw today continue to survive, that I will find in her nest on Sunday 3 viable embryos of a really wide age spread. One of them is not far from hatching. The other one, it was literally laid yesterday. And then there's one in between them. So that's her 3. Now, this may be the one and only time I ever get chicks out of Luscious. She's old, and she's struggling to produce viable embryos, even with a very virile male. So, whatever she hatches, she keeps, because this is her one shot. Whereas these 2, I could see breeding them twice a year for 3 more years, because they're both youngsters. Remington is literally 13 months old, and Razzle is not yet 2. So these guys have expendable embryos. And, of course, they have very high fertility, so all of their eggs are fertile, or most of them. These guys do not have the expendable embryos because they're aging. They're not as bad as Luscious, but we want to keep as many as we can. So here's what I think. The fact that Luscious is older means that her embryos and her chicks are not going to have as much strength, okay? So I believe she's going to have 3 viable embryos in there, and she's going to keep all 3 of them. I believe these 2 will have 4 viable embryos, and I'm going to keep all 4 of them. Because, as I said, these 2 are no spring chickens either, and I need some viable chicks out of them. But also because it is highly likely that Luscious will not hatch all 3 of those eggs. So I can keep a 4th viable embryo in these guys' nest as kind of a backup. because it's very possible, especially with two older pairs, that not all of the chicks are going to make it through that 24-hour period. And, you know, we may lose one or two to rickets or whatever. So I think in this particular case, because I have two older pairs, keeping an extra embryo kind of as a backup plan is not a bad idea. These two, on the other hand, are 6 eggs. I'm sure 5 of them will be fertile. There's one that seems to have kind of a small yolk in it, so it might be fertile, but it wouldn't survive, so it'll get cold. So I'm going to cull them down to 3 eggs. Their 3 biggest embryos, because I have plenty of time to breed them again and again. So I'll cull these. So really what it comes down to is, if this works out the way I think it does, I'm not going to end up culling any of their babies. I'm going to let them hatch 4. I'm not going to cull any of their babies and hope that all 3 embryos hatch and make it. And I am going to have to cull this nest. Quite a bit. She has 6 eggs in there, so I'm going to have to take 3 of them out. Unless I see no development in one. So, I did get some fake eggs in the mail, and to me, they didn't seem to have a size for budgies, so I got 2 different sizes, and some of them are too small and the others are too big, so I'm not thrilled about them. So I think what I will probably end up doing is, when I have to take her 3 eggs, because that's a radical change. She has 6 eggs, and to leave the nest and come back and there'll only be 3 there, she will know that her nest has been raided. So my inclination is, I know she has infertile eggs. I can spot them. I know which ones they are. I'll take one of her infertile eggs and stick it in there to replace one of the viable that I have to take. And I'm pretty sure she has 5 eggs. One of them is inviable, so I will take her inviable egg and stick it in here. So each hen will end up losing 1 egg in her count, which will be hard for her to tell. She'll be like, did I lose an egg? Not sure. And that's the goal. And then, and like I said, I think I'm going to end up having to cull viable embryos out of this pair. But I think with the particular cohort that I have going here, I think that's going to be my best plan. Okay.